To take this example a step further, and let's look at a musical application of it. If say we had a synth part that I have playing on my track over here. Nothing particularly interesting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to record it onto our track over here. So I'll just select the instrument input, put this into record, and I'll just record a loop of this sound. Now, so I'll just mute this, and now on this track over here. So that's one loop of that sound. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it over to another track and play the two of them together. So we just got two tracks with the same sound playing at the same time. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to experiment on the copy and see if I can get some pitch variation and harmonies happening between these two parts. Obviously need to put this into repitch mode, otherwise it's going to do a regular time stretch. So I'll just do this by ear just to begin with. I'll remove this one a bit as well. This doesn't like the sound of that, so I want to move this one without affecting this one, so I'll just put another breakpoint in there. Okay. And what I'm going to do is going to give it another copy of this over there. So if this is the original, and I'm going to do further variations on this one. So now let's alter the first note. Again, and put it into repitch. Okay, so that sounds okay. Let's try moving this. And yeah, I'll just use one final copy, and I'll just move this over here, and I'll just, yeah, make this play at half the pitch. So I've doubled the tempo, which, because it's playing at 115, and this will play back an octave lower. Just put it to repitch. I have a drum beat over here just to give us some backing with that. Bring down the overall volume of all of these. So these are all on a group, and I have an auto filter on here that's been side chained from the drums. So you can see how we've quickly got some variation happening there from the starting off with quite a simple part. The other thing that you can do to get variations in a part, say I wanted to, this piano part that we had up here, if I wanted to thicken that out to do some kind of pseudo double track, what I can do is that if I take the piano sound, and again if I double the tempo, it will play back at half speed. So essentially all the frequencies in that sound have been halved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze this track. This is just the equivalent of bouncing it so I can get a copy of it. And I'll just make a copy of this just over to our other track here, and then I'll unfreeze this track. So we have the original here I'll just put that back to its original tempo, and we have a copy over here which is playing back at half the tempo. So when we listen to this one, so now we can use our more modern techniques of time stretching that they didn't have back in the day. And because this is playing at half the pitch but also half the tempo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to half the tempo here to get it play back at twice the speed. So I've got a copy of the original sound playing at an octave lower but at the correct pitch. So we combine them two together. I chose to do that by an octave just because it was quick and handy, but we could do it by any measure by using our online calculator again. And if we wanted to harmonize that particular part with something that was a third, a fourth or a fifth out, we could input that particular BPM offset to give us the harmonies that we wanted to. And this is another case where sometimes working with monophonic material can allow you to achieve results easier. A variation on that, rather than keeping the pitch halved and just using regular time stretch, if you make a copy of the part, so rather than having it in beats mode and just keeping the same pitch but only having time stretch, I'll put it actually back into repitch. I'm going to have a listen. Because the tempo here is halved, it's playing back at twice the speed. But because we bounced it as an octave lower, even when we pitch it back up, the higher frequency content is not there anymore, and as a result it sounds a bit lo-fi but still also quite useful. So if you listen to the pitches that it's playing and compare it with the original, obviously that has the full frequency content in it, but this one is a repitched version which was originally halved, and we combine the two. Add some EQ or not. To give us another kind of textural version of the same part. And then we can process this part even further if we wanted different tonal characteristics to the sound to be combined again with the original. So you can also apply these techniques to percussive and drum parts. So I have a drum loop here. I'm just going to copy it. So I keep the original and I'll put it to repitch. So when I'm playing it back, let's experiment adding some breakpoints in and adding some varied speed. So anyone who's ever manipulated vinyl will be familiar with some of these type effects. So you can be subtle or a bit more extreme. Sometimes what I like to do is that listening in isolation like this can be a bit difficult. So what I'll do is I'll add another track in and I'll listen to what it sounds like with the original. So similar to using this technique on the melodic part, we can get different variation and rhythms occurring. So if you need even more flexibility, what I've done here is that I've split that drum part up into individual elements. So I've got my kick, my snare and my hi-hats. So now when I play them, it's kick, snare, hi-hats. So again, when I'm working this way, I always make a copy and work on the copy. There's not much going on in the snare part here, so what I'll just get is sort of like timbre changes, put it to repitch. And the decay will also change, of course. add an additional track in, and hear what that sounds like with the original snare part. I'll do the same on the hi-hat. It's a repitch. Again, add an additional track and bring the copy over there. Play with the original. Let's see what I can do with the kick drum. So we got the original kick drum and now the copy. The repitch. So the parts can be complementary to their original, or they can now become even a part by themselves. Adding a bit of reverb to that. So all these techniques evolved from vari-speed, simple manipulation of the tape speed, but as you can see, there's a whole variety of results that can be produced. But of course, creativity is key, and to fully embrace using the studio as an instrument, you have to learn to play it as such.